everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and as always, I'm happy to welcome you to our webinar and a special warm welcome to the new people. And for those of you that this is your first time with our webinar, just 2 words of explaining what it is, and the purpose is really stated in the title here, your weekly trading plan. And what we're trying to do here is really to basically do the homework, to put an effort, get organized, have possible scenarios and ideas, and that creates a structure, and our trading becomes more organized, less chaotic, and hopefully will follow with better results this way. Few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman, Senior Account Manager with AvaTrade. My overall experience in June, it will be 23 years. And I started as a proprietary licensed trader back in New York. I work with few proprietary firms as a crazy active day trader. And after 11 years of doing it, I just got tired. It's not an easy task. So I continued trading, of course, and I moved to mentoring and educating other traders. And I'm happy that I'm able to help customers with AvaTrade and sharing my experience and knowledge. These are the things that we speak about. The agenda of the webinar is pretty much the same every week. We speak about indices, stocks, commodities, FX, and of course, crypto at the end. And these are the channels I highly recommend for you to follow. You have Telegram, Twitter. By the way, Twitter just reported that the earnings went down 40%, but now it's a public company with the Elon Musk as a CEO and the owner. Just a thought. YouTube channel is my favorite. You have tons of information there that includes educational material, tutorials, webinars, including this one. A lot of information. You can subscribe, you can click on that bell, and you'll be notified on new things being updated or uploaded into the YouTube channel, and it's being happening on daily basis. And of course, the risk warning. You can find the full statement at avatrade.com, and everything we do here is purely educational and will not suggest, of course, anything in the way of trading. Few things, just an observation. We had a nice run on Friday. Some analysts say this is due to some data that came from the service PMI numbers and so on. And this is the slide that I chose for this week, and it's from Market View. Let me see, is it from Market View? Market Watch, sorry, marketwatch.com. And the title says here, year 3 of the US president's term is bullish for stocks, but 2023's gain is probably over by now. And as you could see, it's a fresh article. And it says right here, the strong rally that typically occurs during the third years of is often concentrated in the first few months. So why the third year? I guess it's a year before the last year. So they tried to push the economy. I really don't know. But we are, as even Powell said, we don't really know. We never had such a thing. We had a pandemic and other things. We have the war going on, and they can't even know. Powell can't even predict what will be with the economy and everything else. So all this. Analysts, the writing is their job to write. So are they right? Are they wrong? We don't know. So meanwhile, Friday was an up day, and the question is, are we turning to be bullish now, or is it just another opportunity to short the market? And that's what we've seen lately. That every run up was followed with a sell-off, and we had the whole 2022 doing the same way. So same thing. So let's see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week. We have NFP report. That's how many jobs were added, and the unemployment level, and hourly earnings and so on. And definitely the Fed's going to be watching that. And we have actually Powell speaking from the Congress 2 days in a row in the upcoming week. But we'll go into economic calendar in a moment. So I just wanted to show you this. Now, economic calendar, and again, a few words for people that are not familiar with the economic calendar. This is public information. It's open. You can find it on our web trader or the app. You can find it at other sources by just Googling economic calendar. And is it important to follow it? It's important to know that it exists for sure. It's important to know that certain things happening a certain day and a certain time if you trade. If you're not trading, if you're just an observer, maybe not. But if you're an active trader and you have positions or you're about to enter positions, it's important to know. And that's the way I look into it. I like to see things ahead of time. I like to mark it up so I don't get caught in the trade when certain things are happening, like NFPs, for instance. Some people like to stay away from the announcement and just wait till things settle and then trade. Some people actually do the opposite. They like the volatility of the numbers. They try to catch a quick scalp there. They buy and sell and buy, and really use that 15, 30-minute interval of craziness as an opportunity to trade. So it's all individual. It's all individual in the style of the trader, risk tolerance, and so on. So let's see. Monday we have retail sales, and again, just a reminder: I don't take out all the events, just the high impact, as you can see here in red. There are definitely more events, but I just choose this for a few reasons. One, these are the most important. Second, just for the space on the presentation. If I take all the events, it will take pages to show. So these are the most important ones as marked high impact. So retail sales, European Union on Monday. Tuesday, we have Australia reporting interest rate decision and the statement, of course. Powell, like, as I mentioned, is testifying in front of Congress on both on Tuesday and Wednesday, the same time. It's 3 p.m. The times are in GMT in this presentation. So on Tuesday, Powell testifies. Governor of Bank of Australia speaking on Wednesday, I guess following the interest rate decision. Retail sales from Germany, GDP numbers from Europe, ADP employment change from ADP, that's another agency. So it just gives an indication how the NFPs could be, and it's like 2 days before. And again, usually NFPs are on the first Friday of the month, but this time is the second, I guess, because of the short month of February. It wasn't enough time. Sometimes they move it to a second Friday if it's too close to the end of the month. So we're having a kind of a exception of the rule. It's the second Friday of the month. We're having NFTs. Just a thought. Okay, so ADP on Wednesday, second day of testimony of Powell in front of Congress. Interest rate decision followed by the statement from Canada. GDP numbers from Japan, and CPI numbers from China. Okay, Friday, also a super busy day. We have interest rate decision from Japan. They don't say what the expectation, but I guess they don't expect any changes as we move along. By the way, the future governor of Bank of Japan, last time we spoke, everybody was hoping that he will be more aggressive, more hawkish as far as the increasing interest rate. But in his speech that he had, I think, on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, he actually sounded very soft, and he said that he's going to stick to the same policy, soft policy, and hope that that will work to decrease the inflation. Really don't know what the plan is, so that's what he said. So Friday we have the interest rate decision from Japan. Maybe we'll see the surprise, but so far things look like nothing will change. CPI numbers from Germany, and here comes non-farm payroll and other things there, including the unemployment rate. We have also employment data from Canada. Most of the time they come together with the US. And also important, Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. And this is the economic calendar. So a lot of events, and of course the key event is the Friday's NFP numbers. Okay, so let's just run really quick through things that we discussed last week. And that was the 26th of February, and we spoke about NVIDIA stock that the demand for the product is huge. The stock reported amazing things, and going forward, and I mentioned to you that video card RTX 4090 is being sold out. So NVIDIA, we'll take a look at the moment what the stock is doing. It's actually holding strong. Tesla holding below 200, holding up below 200. We're going to talk about Tesla, the new things happening. We spoke about GE is holding strong. We'll talk about it in a moment as well. Intel, we'll take a look at Intel really quickly, and some news on Pfizer, some new developments. We spoke about Pfizer holding 41.45. And we also mentioned something very interesting. If you remember, I pay attention to these things like relevant strength. We said that on the selling market, Facebook didn't sell off, and you will see how strong the Facebook reacted on Friday when other stocks were up. And we spoke about holding strong the banks. And gold, silver, platinum were weak. They reacted the opposite way today, this week, or on Friday, pretty much. And dollar was strong, and Friday sold out a little bit. So Friday in general, we'll move now to the MT4. Friday in general was kind of a turnaround. The indices went up. Of course, the stocks opened up some with gaps and continued higher. And gold ran up, and other metals as well. Dollar sold out a little bit, and just want to go back to presentation, and I just meant to show you the 10-year yields. If you remember last week, we said it's around 395. We had a move above the 390 level. And then we had a nice move higher. We hit above 4, and Friday was sold on the 10-year yields. And again, just a reminder, and just sharing with new people that are not familiar. It's pretty much an indication, or the level of these yields. Of course, it's a reflection of what the bonds are doing. And when the yields are going higher, the dollar increases the value of gold. That's the opposite, selling off. So as you could see, Friday, it dipped below the trend line, and we come to retest around 395, 396 again. It was a big sell-off here, or down day on the yields, and the dollar followed as well. Just wanted to show you that. So again, dollar went down, metals went up, and indices ran up. Just to give you the numbers on indices, S&Ps rose 1.6%. Let's take a look really at the chart. S&Ps rose on Friday 1.6% alone, and 1.9% on the weekly basis. Okay, Friday was a big day. Who knows? It's a short squeeze. We're turning around again. Very controversial situation here. Now Dow Jones also had a nice day, and actually 3 days in a row to the upside. He ended up being up 1.2% and 1.8% for the week, but we're still below the previous week's high. And Nasdaq was the champion. Nasdaq went up 2% on a day and 2.6% on a week. And still, we're still within the previous week's candle, so we're not there yet. Let's see the S&Ps. Yeah, all three indices are below last week's high, and that's a good thing because now at least we know what's the next. We're not going to be speculating. Are we going higher? We're going to retest the higher levels, maybe here on S&Ps, the 4170 level. That's what we tried a few times. Our observation now should be really, first of all, to the last week's high. And that's what we're going to be watching this upcoming week. So we established the indices. Let's just run really quick throughout the indices. China had also a nice Friday after 4 days of a huge sell-off, and we are above the 13,500 key level. Hong Kong as well, nice move, even though Friday was a little bit red, it looks like it. And Nikkei had a nice move. Nikkei actually is approaching this level over here of the resistance from which was sold out, and that's 28,245. We actually were a little bit shy of that. We were at 225. We were 20 points shy to retest it. So also a good indication that this level here, again, the number of this level here is 28,245. That's, we had the spike and then we sold out to retest the low. So Nikkei is at a very interesting situation here. Now let's take a look at European indices. We have FTSE, the UK index, is really playing around this level. We might see retest of the all-time highs that we just had recently, or the support that we just established as well. So that's UK. DAX had a super strong Friday, and we still, this is very interesting and very crucial here. This is the channel we've been sitting after a move up. Okay, I just want to show you a weekly chart. After a whole move up on the weekly chart, we tried to really break through it. But the daily, it's really clear. We had the high here, which was sold at the same day. The second attempt was on the 16th of February, that we touched that level of high of 15,665.5, and we're trying to get there. So a lot of accumulation. That means that if we break up from this channel or down from this channel, it will be a strong impulse, a lot of accumulation here. So we'll be watching how it really acts either way, if it touches the top of the channel or it touches the bottom. It's going to be interesting to watch what is next. Of course, it went up on the sympathy with the US market, and we'll be watching how Monday and the whole week plays. And of course, the culmination of it will be the NFPs on Friday, which will be affecting global markets. First of all, of course, US market, but as we know, we're living in the global market now. French index, also similar to FTSE, the UK index, it's really confirming the all-time highs and really fighting that. So again, that we reached this level back on January 2022. After that, we sold out, as all the indices did, and it took us 13 months to hit it again, February 1st. And this past week or few weeks, we're really fighting that level. We closed at the highs on Friday, pretty much at the highs. So it's going to be interesting to see the French index, what's next. India, the Nifty 50. If you remember, we spoke about it, that it will catch up at some point with the selling market, and it did. It started making lower lows and lower highs until we reached the 200 moving average. We traded around it, and Friday we went up together with the US market. Everything went to the upside, so Nifty did as well. So that's as far as indices. Again, Friday was a super strong day. And the question, like we said, is this a reversal? Are we going higher from here? Or this is just a temporary move and another opportunity to short? I guess we'll find out soon. Between the technicals, we'll see what's happening. And of course, fundamentally, speech of Powell this week, twice, testimony from the Congress. And of course, NFPs as employment data is one of the three major things that the Feds are paying attention to. Again, it's the economic state. Inflation is number one. So inflation number one, employment, and the growth of economies 2 and 3. So that's as far as indices. Let's move to stocks, and we'll go over things that we spoke about last week. So we spoke about Tesla, and Tesla this week on Wednesday, they had the investor conference, and there was a lot of expectation, which didn't really happen in a really positive way. So I didn't really see the presentation, but it said that it wasn't really anything specific. The only thing that investors took out of it that Musk is planning on building the Tesla plant in Mexico, which is super exciting for Mexicans, and the president is very excited there, of course. But nevertheless, stock actually sold out on that kind of lack of excitement, and then Friday gapped up with the whole market. We closed that gap of the previous gap down, and we are below the 200 again on Tesla. So let's see what this coming week will bring. GE, if you remember, I mentioned that GE has been strong. The market was selling, but GE wasn't, and it is continuing really to retest the highs. And I just checked this week; they're gonna have they're hosting an investor day on Thursday, and they will be discussing the expectations and so on GE. So the stock is very, very strong. It's holding up. Now, another stock that held that I mentioned to you last week, Facebook, it didn't sell when the market did. And actually, take a look. It really made a move, a huge gap up and continuation to the upside, as it was strong when everything else was selling. So Facebook also very strong. Intel, we spoke about Intel, that they cut the dividends by 65%. The stock came, as we said, that it might come to the support around 24.5. It did. We hit the low of 24.70, and then 3 days in a row we moved. So it looks like buyers are coming in around this level. Let's see if the move will continue from here. Pfizer, we spoke about Pfizer, that the stock sold out, and it actually continued later on. They just announced they in talks with another pharmaceutical company. Let me just look up the name. The name of the company is Seagen. And the story with Seagen, I guess they have some products, cancer-related medication. And back last summer, Merck was actually trying to bid for the company, and then they just gave up the idea. And now Pfizer is in talks. It's an early stage talks. There's no guarantee. There's no closing yet, and the stock really moved on that news to the downside, and that's normal when the company are trying to acquire another one. So the buying company usually goes down, and the company that's being bought, usually the shares go up, and Seagen actually went up about 10% or so. So that's as far as Pfizer. The last 2 days it kind of gained some strength over here. We hit the 40, even lower, 39.76 on Pfizer. Let's see how things will play out. We are below the 200 moving average. So if we mention, if we continue low, we might retest this support around here around 38.5. And if we come above the 200 moving average again, we might continue higher. But also it will depend on the talks on this takeover or acquisition. on CGen. So we'll be watching that. NVIDIA, we spoke about NVIDIA. I'm going to bring the MT5 because MT4 doesn't have it. NVIDIA stock, if you remember, the stock gapped up on the good news, as we discussed. Then we sold this past week. The 3 days we went down, just virtually, maybe or visually, maybe we gave away about 40% of this gap. And then in the last 2 days, we came right back and we closed exactly at the high of that gap. There was 238.67 and 238.79, a little bit higher. So we made a new high or new recent high on NVIDIA. Okay, now Salesforce, another stock that had a nice week. As you could see here, the company reported great results. The stock gapped up, sold a little bit, and then Friday finished really flat. So this is a sign it already gapped up a lot. So I guess it didn't have any juice to go higher on the market going higher. So let's see what happens this week, if we'll see continuation of Salesforce, or sometimes the company or the stock tend to go and close the gap before anything else. So Salesforce will be definitely in play this upcoming week. Now, Apple is back above the key psychological level of 150. This is Friday. We gapped and it closed at the highs, 150.92. And also this upcoming week on Friday, they're holding the annual shareholders meeting, which is a good thing to see, you know, what comes out of it, any announcements, any encouragements, any good things, any bad things come out of it. So it's an event that affects the price of the stock. Okay, so these are the things that kind of mix this week with last week observations. And a few big stocks, we're just going to take a really quick look what's happening. Boeing, from the recent sell-off, it's on the way up again. So it just shows how the company is really, really strong. And if you remember a few weeks back, we said that they have a huge order from India Airlines and I guess other things. So it was a nice correction to the downside and we're right back. So it just shows the difference between the sell-off and taking profit. There was a lot of accumulation, went higher. We didn't have energy to go. That's, I guess, spooked the buyers. They came selling it, and around 200, the buyers came in and took it to 215. So that's as far as Boeing. Netflix hasn't done much with this run in the market. Didn't really do. We're sitting very close to 100 moving average. Let's see with the Netflix. It looks like it's been selling, and we're sitting here on the previous level from which we moved to the highs. So we'll be watching that. Microsoft had after sell-off 2 days up, we're back above the 200 moving average. And again, these big stocks that I'm just mentioning now, of course, they're sensitive to what in general the markets are doing. So this coming week is going to be very crucial. Like I said, should we turn around and go higher, or it's going to be another wave of sell-off coming in. Amazon doesn't have so much strength. Friday we gapped and went higher, but we're really sitting at these levels since the recent sell-off. Nothing much happening. Banks, we said that the banks were holding, so let's take a look really what the banks are doing. Banks sold in the beginning of the week and then kind of recovered the last 2 days of the week. JP Morgan, we mentioned, was the strongest, and JP Morgan is really pushing to the upside, trying to really break out of this level. And it's very simple. Here we were back in March 2022, exactly a year ago. We were at the high of 143.82. We closed about around 20 cents short of the price. We're really trying to push and squeeze through this level. They might succeed this week, actually. Let's see if they are. And if not, that this expectations that didn't really manifest could cause the sell-off of the stock, or at least coming down to the support around 137, and that would be very interesting to watch. Citigroup also strong to the upside. Bank of America not so strong, even though Friday we had this move, we closed the gap. So JP Morgan and Citi, the strongest pretty much. Technically Goldman also, but not as much. So these are the banks. You know, I'm going to jump now. Speaking of banks, I'm going to jump now to Bitcoin, and the whole thing news just came out this week. Silvergate Capital Corp, and that's the bank. They I'm just going to read. I think from the Dow Jones report. Stock closed down about 57% on Thursday, and it says right here that crypto-friendly bank said in regulatory filing Wednesday that it would not be filing its audited 2022 annual report on time, and it is evaluating a series of events' impact of its ability to continue as a going concern. So they really spooked the cryptocurrencies, and I didn't go into deep details, but I guess this bank was involved with FTX and customers' money and so on. So as you could see, that Bitcoin is really sold on Friday, and let's see what's going to be next. It's like every time for cryptos they try to really recover, and every time something else is happening and pushing the instruments lower. So we'll be watching, and now of course the Ethereum as well went down with it. So we'll see about news and all the exchanges, the companies involved with crypto also. The stocks sold out, so something that we'll probably hear a lot in the upcoming week. Okay, let's move to commodities. I think the energy commodities had a nice week. Natural gas finally broke out of this, as if you remember, we mentioned the 260. The channel that was sitting within 30 cents was a lot of accumulation. The failed sell-off followed by the move up, and take a look. We have all consecutive days to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 days to the upside, and Friday was the strongest out of it. And we are finally about the 50 moving average over here. So will this move continue? We broke out of this resistance here, and technically speaking, we might continue to around these levels here, from which we were sitting, accumulating for a while, and then dropped, and that would be around 360, 370. And we'll just take it step by step. We might continue to the upside, and of course, the opposite could happen. They can sell off and come retest the 260 level and see if it's a real support here. Sometimes it does happen. Also, this week's inventories helped natural gas. It was more shortage than expected, so it's also on the supply part. Also give a little bit of a boost to natural gas. Crude oil also moved nicely this week. We have 4 consecutive days to the upside, and we are on the way to retest around 80. We were as high as 79.87 and close 2 cents lower. So very strong price action on crude oil. And let's see how we taking or how we're handling the 80 price if we do get there. And together with it, we have Chevron and ExxonMobil reacted to the upside as the oil went higher. So metals, as I mentioned to you, with the yields going below 4 again, we had gold moving nicely. We had the whole week since we, if you remember, this 1804, we said that around 1800 could be psychological level of support, and the whole week we actually went up. We went above 100 moving average, and we closed at 1856. And we might continue higher, or we might come and retest that level again. It all will be depending on the data that's coming out, and of course, everybody's listening to the language of the Feds. And this week, as we said, Powell will be speaking twice in front of the Congress. So we had gold, platinum, very nice move from the support. As we mentioned, this support held very, very nicely. And palladium didn't really move a lot. If you remember, I mentioned to you this key level that we hit with the 3-year apart, and we bounce from it. But palladium is not really rushing to any drastic moves. It's slowly climbing higher, but we still didn't get out of this lower lows, lower highs. We would need to really confirm that with the upcoming price action here. So that's as far as metals. The only thing that kind of surprising, with all the indices going up, including China, copper didn't react to it in a positive way. The opposite. Thursday sold out, and Friday was also a red day for copper, which is really, really strange. So we'll be watching the copper, and if metals go down and indices go down, copper would be probably the first one to drop, as it didn't really go up in the last 2 days. It had a nice run in the beginning of the week, though, but the last 2 days it really showed in red. So that's as far as metals, and let's wrap it up with soft commodities. Soybeans. Soybeans, very interesting here, as you can see on daily chart. We're crossing with the 50 moving average about the 200, which some analysts call it as a golden cross, which technically means that continuation to the upside. So we'll see what happens here. It's very, very interesting to see if that rule will work. You can hear it in a lot of financial channels that talk about these things. And the opposite, like here, when the 50 go below, we call it dead cross. So that's a sell-off signal. Does it really work? We'll find out. Corn. Corn had a little bit move to the upside, and wheat as well. Wheat didn't really, let's see. Wheat is holding this level after sell-off. It doesn't really look that great. We had a sell-off. We made the lower low from the previous one, and we didn't really move higher. So it's really consolidating here, getting ready for either continuation to the downside or bouncing back to the upside. But it looks pretty weak right here. No reaction to the upside. Now, let's see what else I wanted to show you. I want to show you the cocoa. Cocoa had an amazing run. Take a look with the gap starting in February, on February 10th. And we just continue small correction, and then 3 consecutive days to the upside. And now the last 2 days of the week was sold, and it's pretty strong selling. So what's going to happen here? Few things. We can come and retest this level here from which we made a high, and that the low is 27.32. It's about 23 points from now. We can test it, hold it, and continue higher. We can break below it and go and shop for the next support, or we can just stop here and from here make a higher high, which would really continue the uptrend. Let's see. As you can see, the weekly chart, it looks very strong with them. Super strong week. Another week, a nice correction. This past week, we went above the previous resistance, but we closed much lower, as you could see here. So if we break last week's low, we might actually slide lower. and if not, we might continue and retest the highs again. So cocoa is in a very interesting spot here. So this level here around 27.32, we'll be watching if it's holding. And that's it with commodities. Let's move to Forex. And as we mentioned, with the yields moving lower, dollar index sold out. And we are below 105. Friday was a down day on dollar index. And it is really consolidating here. As you could see, it started building this tight channel here, close to the top. So again, it will be depending what the Feds are saying, what the NFPs are coming, and so on. And dollar has a chance for me after this build up to continue higher, or it will move lower and retest some lower levels over here. And let's just run through the majors really quick. On Friday, with the weakness of the dollar, Australian dollar finally moved a little bit to the upside. New Zealand dollar didn't do much. New Zealand dollar has been showing a lot of weakness lately. Yen, as we said, if you remember last week, we said that dollar yen has a resistance around 137. And take a look on Thursday, we hit the high of 137.09, and we bounce down from there. So a nice play. Now we're on the way down again. We have interest rate from Japan this week. We have NFPs. So both US dollar and Japanese yen will be affected by those things. Let's see what's next. Maybe this confirmation of resistance could mean that the dollar will sell against the yen, so yen will regain strength. Maybe even see surprise, even though they don't expect it. We can always see a surprised interest rate increase from Japan. So very interesting what's next over here. Now euro dollar. Euro dollar had a Wednesday up, Thursday sell-off, Friday a little bit of a green day. Again, let's see what this week will happen to dollar. Pound was very strong. It held this support around 119.40. And Friday, we actually closed about Thursday's high, which is it's a bullish sign. We might actually see continuation to the upside. And as we mentioned here, we're sitting in the channel here between 119.40 and 124.30. It's about about 500 pips channel. And it looks like we tried to break to the downside. We couldn't. We could be now on the way up to retest it. First of all, we have averages. We have 100 and the 50 moving average, and if we go through them, we might again, if the pound gaining strength here, if the dollar will continue getting weaker, we might actually go at some point and reach the top of the channel, as the channel is very clear here. Okay, USD CAD flat day on Friday. We are close to this resistance here. We tried to test it a few times, and interestingly enough, Canadian dollar remained weak on the strong dollar. Oh, sorry, I'm confusing myself already. Canadian dollar remained weak on these 3 days when the oil was going higher. Just bring the oil. Take a look. Oil had a nice run. Canadian dollar didn't. And again, for new people, explanation, why am I connecting these two? Normally, Canadian dollar is very sensitive to the price of oil, as Canada is one of the producers and sellers of oil. And usually, Canadian dollar goes the same direction as oil does. But this week, it didn't. So kind of controversial. And USD sold strong against the Swiss franc, and we are back below the support. So we could be building the resistance now again around 0.94. That's it pretty much. Again, we have a very busy week with culmination of Friday with the NFPs. We have Powell speaking twice this coming week. We have a lot of announcements, economic calendar that includes interest rate decisions from Japan and Australia. It's going to be a very interesting week, very intense week. And as we started with that slide, that the market could be already done with the move up on the third year of the US presidency. Let's see. I wish everyone an amazing week, a successful and productive week, and of course, enjoy the rest of the weekend. And we'll be back. All the best. Take care.